Well, hello everybody, and happy second day of July. I hope that the month of June was a great month for you and your families and a great start to the summer, and just hoping to pass along some summer updates here at United South Central as we embark upon the second month of the summer and work towards the start of the 2025-26 school year. So, the beginning of July each summer represents for us the beginning of a new fiscal year, which is effectively the start of the school year for us here at United South Central. So, our financial year starts on July 1, and then as we move through July into August and towards students' return in September, this is all part of the upcoming school year for us. And on that note, at this point in the year, we are starting our fiscal year, starting our school year fully staffed for the year ahead from a teaching perspective. We do right now have one active posting for a part-time social worker or counselor. This is the position that Mr. Wimmer held last year, and it's available to us because of a pool of funds entitled Student Support Personnel Aid. The legislature created this a couple years back and basically enables us to hire one part-time individual in this capacity. Looking back at this point in time last year, we had this position open as well as we went into July, and so we'll see what the next couple of weeks bring on that front. We do have a couple paraprofessional positions posted, and we'll continue to hire this based on our student needs as they evolve and change over the next 2 months as the school year nears. And on the transportation side of things, we are fortunate to have all of our routes currently covered at this point in time as we get set for the new school year ahead. Our principals have communicated a couple new hires for the year ahead. On the choir elementary music side, Paige Lang will be joining us, Sam Chikuski in the preschool department. Mr. Klinger, who was a student teacher here, will officially be joining us in Phi Ed. Karen Robbins is going to return in a part-time capacity to her role from last year. She next year will be a .5 curriculum coordinator, and we also are excited to have Dr. Tammy Bennett join us as our grant-funded MTSS coordinator for next year. So the story here basically is that we received and we're fortunate to qualify for Minnesota Multi-Tiered System of Supports grant for a pretty significant pool of funds that enabled us to hire a full-time coordinator. And then as we work through the financial components of this, basically it amounted to we needed to, by virtue of our budget, reduce our curriculum coordinator position to some part-time derivative, which then actually enabled a situation for Mrs. Robbins to rejoin our staff here this year. Chad Young is going to join our staff as a bus driver, and then paraprofessionals so far we've hired Sapphire Navarro and Jody McConnell. And we are excited for all of these individuals to join our staff at United South Central for the year ahead. A little bit on the summer project side of things. If you've been in the building recently, we've had a lot of light work in basically every corner of the building occurring here since the school year ended. We have just a couple rooms that are awaiting their conversion to LED lights, and basically the story behind this is that down the road in the not so distant future, the traditional light fixtures that we have used in our building will no longer be available for purchase in Minnesota, and we really needed to get the bulk of our building transitioned over to LED lighting. Our gyms, commons, and a couple other areas had been converted in previous years, but after this project is complete, our entire building will now be LED lighted. And one thing that we weren't counting on that has been a very nice change with this is the brightness factor in a lot of our rooms and hallways is significantly better. And also we should have a very, very significant energy efficiency savings throughout the building as we get this change done as well. In the next couple weeks, you will notice some action in our parking lot. Really in the next week or so, we should have a contractor on site filling some cracks and doing some base maintenance to the main parking lots. And then towards the end of July, early August, they're going to come back and do a fresh seal over the entire parking lot area. And then after that seal is complete, so probably early August, the first couple weeks, they will then be back to restripe, repaint the entire lot. And then it's at that point in time that they will put down some different line markings as we retool the direction that the parking lot flows. So that we anticipate probably early August to have that change in place. And then at that point, we'll have to put out quite a bit of communication just preemptively on that. The route and the flow of our parking lot will change as we hit August and then the start of the new school year here in September. We did have one minor hurdle thrown our way with our van garage project that we're undertaking this summer. We had just one coding issue come back just on basically whether it was a local or state code. It's going to delay us by a couple weeks, and we're expecting the van garage work to be commencing here mid-July is our hope at this point. And at that point, there is the possibility this project is done by the start of the school year, but if it isn't, we will be able to roll just fine if construction rolls a little bit into September on us here as well. Towards the end of the last school year, we did receive a incredibly large order of new Chromebooks for student devices next year. By my count, we had 745 new student devices received and prepared for the year ahead. And then also at the same time, we had 650 old devices come back in and processed for resale. And just my simple math here is that's over 1,400 computer devices that were handled by our tech team this spring and into the summer. And a huge thanks to Tyler, Kaylee, and Marie for all of their outstanding work. This was a huge undertaking and just a tremendous amount of devices that they processed and got ready for students for the year ahead. And also this summer, we did have all of our school buses upgraded to new modern camera technology. Some of the camera systems we had in our buses were pretty antiquated, tough to get quality footage out of. And we also were fortunate to receive a grant from the state that enabled us to put new cameras and new stop arm cameras, which basically are the forward facing camera to catch somebody that wouldn't be following school bus traffic safety laws the correct way. And again, this grant enabled us to put these systems in all of our buses. So all of our buses are now in the same camera system. And within the last 2 years, all of our vans were upgraded to the same camera system, as well as all of our vans now have two-way radios, and just some great systems here that should help us promote quality communication and student safety throughout our transportation fleet. Our custodial team has been hard at work this summer, doing deep cleans and summer cleans in each of our classroom spaces. All of our special education rooms are completed first, and I believe are completed at this point in time as the extended school year program gets rolling here pretty quick. And they have done quite a bit of painting work on the middle school and high school hallway. And there, again, is not a corner of this building that this team doesn't touch throughout the year. And big thanks to each of them for their hard work over the summer months here. Looking towards the year ahead at this point on the room change side of things, we don't have anything very major coming down the pike room change wise. Just a couple ancillary changes to make way for a few positions here. So our new MTSS coordinator, Tammy Bennett, will have her office in the technology curriculum office off of the library, which then means our workforce development coordinator moves to room A167, which is the office right by the training room close to the wrestling room and fitness center. And then just the domino effect of this is our deaf and hard of hearing provider, which comes to us through Southern Plains, was previously in that office and then will now switch to the Southern Plains office in the library. So again, no real major room changes moving into next year, and it is possible that this will switch. There could be a couple minor things that evolve between now and the start of the year in September, but this is where we sit here at the moment. And looking ahead to next year on the academic calendar front, our calendar looks very similar to how it did last year. We still will have the Wednesday PLC early out. That is not a change, but remains the same from last year. And if you're interested in looking at our calendar for the year ahead, actually one of the things that we almost immediately get into as we start the school year is the first step in planning for the 2026-27 school year, building out the calendar for that point. And we will plan to have our first calendar committee meeting for the next school year on Tuesday, November 11th. And if you have any interest in being part of that process, don't hesitate to let me know, or join us on November 11th as we begin the process of planning out that very next year ahead. And one other change for the upcoming school year came with our HITA process. So HITA is Health Insurance Transparency Act. We went through that process this spring along with our EA and ESP negotiating teams. And basically we open up our entire district health insurance policy for quotes for negotiations on that front. We had several companies bid out our large health insurance policy, and we ultimately settled on renewing our Blue Cross Blue Shield policy, which came at a face value 5% increase for the year ahead. But one caveat to this is that if we added a primary care subscription model clinic to our health insurance plan, BCBS agreed to decrease our increase in cost to 2% with the addition of this option. So I'm guessing since the new month is set in that you all have gotten emails from an entity called Covera. And Covera is the primary care subscription model that we elected to go with. And so basically what this boils down to is it's a primary care model that's paid for through the district for each district employee, providing clinic-based primary care. Again, it's a subscription model. Catherine sent out quite a bit of details on this, as well as you should have gotten a couple emails from Covera at this point in time. And basically, should be an awesome option, kind of as a first line of defense for various health situations that are thrown your way, thrown your family's way. And right now, there is some intricacies, whether it's telehealth or in person. And we're hoping that there's the increased option for more of our staff to have the in-person portion of Covera here as we move through the next year or so. But really the key benefit of this, and there's a hope there that if we really are able to use Covera to capitalize on it, it will actually reduce the amount of core costs to our BCBS policy, which should lead to lower premium increases for us on that policy down the road. So again, something new for the year ahead. And if you have any questions on Covera, please don't hesitate to ask myself or Catherine here as we get into the start of the school year. Also this summer, our operations committee of our school board spent quite a bit of time interviewing several companies that could help us with a upcoming project, building project here in the fall of 2026. So we, again, early on in the month of June, interviewed a company called ICS, Wendell, SiteLogic, and Ingenza. And all four of these are companies that really help us with the project management side of things, help us with architecture, help us with putting together a plan that really fits the needs of what we'd have as a school here at USC and really builds off the work that our facility task force started over the winter and spring here last year. And so after 4 interviews, quite a bit of time, we've decided to go with a company called Ingenza. They're based in Minnesota. They are actually a smaller company that works with school districts and works with a smaller amount of school districts at a time, but really will be able to provide us personal service and help and provide us with some good help, support, and guidance as we work through the process of potentially looking at a referendum here again in the fall of 2026. And if you are a legislative nerd like me, you would have noticed that we had a legislative session here in Minnesota really through April, May, and then it ultimately came to an end with a special session in June. And there was a lot on the table for education here in this legislative session. And really this all comes with the caveat that Minnesota's budget at one point in time was great as a state and is kind of trending, again as a state, trending in a poor direction. For the short term, this is a positive conclusion to the legislative session for Minnesota school districts for United South Central. The inflationary factor, which is something they added a couple years ago basically to give our school aid increases a relationship with inflation. There was some talk about that factor going away. It's a great thing for us. And it ultimately did not go away. We still have that in place, which is a good thing for Minnesota schools. There's a category of aid called compensatory funding. This is what traditionally has been linked to free and reduced lunches. And then since the free school meal program came into place, there's been a big conundrum here about how do we adjust this category of school aid really as the school lunch piece came into play. And so ultimately the session ended with they had no real answer to that other than they're going to continue to hold harmless schools and our budgets with this piece for another year. And really, this is huge for us because we had approximately $200,000 to $300,000 on the line with just this one piece of aid, and ultimately it worked out well in the short term for United South Central. There are several funding reductions. There were some small changes to library aids, student support personnel, lunch reimbursement, and special ed funding will be a big one for us to keep in mind. They did decrease our amount of special education transportation aid for this year. And then also the state legislature basically said this year they're going to try and find $250 million across the state in special education savings. And if they can't find that, then that will be cut from our budget for the years to come. So basically what this boils down to is it's a positive outlook legislative wise and funding wise for our budget over the next year to 2 years. But unfortunately from there, the 2028, 2029 fiscal years do not look good from a state perspective at this point for us. And so we will be looking at ways that we can kind of tighten up our budget and keep things in line in the short term, just knowing that the 2028-29 years might not be the best for Minnesota schools. One other thing that came out of the legislative session here this spring is a mandate for us to have a cardiac emergency response plan. Every district in the state is asked to put this plan together. And as part of that plan, we do need to make sure that we have a proportion of our teaching staff and our coaching staff CPR certified and trained. So basically, as we put this plan together, just hoping to get a baseline assessment of what we already have. So if you perchance have a CPR certification, please just shoot me an email back indicating that you have that training and what your expiration date will be. You're not agreeing to really be part of anything specific at this point in time other than just to help us get a bead on who on our staff does have this training as we move forward. All right, so looking ahead, I did see this meme cross my social media channels here a little earlier this month. And it's basically said if you walk into Target right now and see some empty shelves at the back of the store, it's giving you an indication of what might be coming next. And I know that's not a fun feeling for anybody when all of a sudden the back to school stuff starts to appear in stores, but unfortunately that time will come for us sooner than later here. We do of course have new teacher staff development days coming up on August 20th and 21st. Our all-staff workshop day is Monday, August 25th. Teachers then join us through the 26th, 27th, and 28th, all leading into the first day of school for 7th through 12th graders on September 2nd and K through 6th on September 3rd. On the more immediate front, we do have a school board work session scheduled for July 15th. That's at 5:30 p.m. basically to look at some strategic planning goals that the school board has, including putting together a communication plan and drafting a school board member handbook. We also will chat a little bit about our process for putting our old van garage site up for sale. And then our school board July regular meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, July 15th at 7 o'clock p.m. So on that note, we wish you the best 4th of July and the best month of July here as we move through the summer. And please don't hesitate to let me know if there's anything that we can do that would help you feel more prepared, help you feel the best as we enter August and start preparing for the year ahead. So again, have a great 4th of July, and we will see you all later.